I'm Mark Hennick. This is So-Called Normal. Hey folks, welcome to So-Called Normal. I'm Mark Hennick. Today on the show, Blake Fly. Blake is amazing. If you haven't heard of him, you have to go check him out, especially for his public speaking work that he does on, particularly on college campuses. He does them in a lot of places, but especially on college campuses. There's really very few public speakers that bring the kind of energy and engagement and fun to their performances, but also an important message as well, really helping to improve campus cultures and helping people to realize that they actually matter, that they count, that they can be included, that you can appreciate one another and recognize people. So I think that you'll really enjoy the work that he does. Go check out some of his videos, his website, blakefly, blakefly.com, and go check out what he does. Our conversation really revolves around a lot of that work that I just mentioned and how he helps to build campus cultures and help people to feel included and welcome. And we get a bit into his own story as well and why he does what he does. That fascinates me too. And I think we do that on a lot of the episodes, but I think you'll like his backstory too. So here's my conversation on So-Called Normal with the fun and engaging and really great guy, Blake Fly.
So my name is Blake Flyshacker, but people call me Blake Fly because my Austrian last name is difficult to pronounce it sometimes. Blake Fly is just sort of my chosen, sure, I guess, street name, but not in like a street name kind of way.
But it's a good street name.
It is.
Blake Fly.
It's easy to remember, easy to spell.
Yeah.
But yes, I go as Blake Fly, and why I do what I do, that's something that I ask myself each day, and I'm getting closer to the answer. So as of this moment in time, I think why I do what I do is I'm really excited about the topic of appreciation and recognition and how for some reason it is rare and surprising to people when it happens. And so I like to weave that into all the work that I'm up to professionally. I sometimes find that I'm sort of a mad scientist in a laboratory that's trying to think of what are additional, cool, meaningful, fun, impactful ways to do work and feed my future family. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll dive into a variety of those places, but appreciation is my jam.
And, so your primary gig in public speaking and engaging people in that way, is that what you focus mostly on?
Yeah, I've been doing that probably for about a decade. And I would say in the last couple of years, it's sort of shifted from 100% getting on stages and giving speeches. And now it's maybe 60-40. And that 60 is continuously speaking. And that 40 has become other ways of reaching people, whether it be hosting events in the city of Toronto or doing online programs for people to learn and experience my content ideas and resources in that way. So it's almost at a 50-50 getting on stage and inviting people to my house, whether it's online or in person.
So you have such a stage presence. You usually have a guitar with you.
I do, yes.
So tell me a little bit about what you talk to. Who are you talking to, first of all, and what are you talking to them about?
I began doing the talking thing in university audiences. So it started because I used to be a residence manager at universities, and that was basically like a microcosm of Earth because it was a bunch of 18 to 20-year-olds living in one building at the same time. They're going through their academic life, their emotional life, their mental life, their physical life, their relational life, and I'm there attempting to lead a team of people to ensure that they have a positive experience and to best manage the negative ones that are bound to happen in the process. So when I finished that world of work, I chose to wrap up that contract, leave the university world, mainly because I wanted to figure out how can I do this work forever, but not need to live in a student residence
not be
forever.
Yeah.
And so my best attempt at doing that was going around North America speaking to incoming university students, mainly about how to successfully transition into university life. And where the guitar comes into it is one of the main stories that I would tell is how I found it effective to form relationships for me, which was through music. And I don't say everyone has to learn the guitar, clarinet, or flute, but rather what is it that you bring, whether it be physically or just emotionally, that can be a resource to yourself and others when you're meeting new people in new places.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was almost a decade ago. And I would say transition and relationships and how to use appreciation or recognition as a vehicle in those times is every part of my work. But it began by essentially saying, hey, university can be awesome and can be not awesome. And here are some best practices to transition into this completely new community from what you're probably used to.
So why was that such a focus for you when you first went into university? Was it difficult?
It was, and it was difficult mainly on the academic side.
Right.
I went from being pretty much a straight A student in high school to not even really counting what letters I was earning in university in the first year.
What was going on? Why such a change?
I think I got so excited about the world that I was now in. And it wasn't like I just went and partied all the time and lost myself, but I signed up for so many extracurriculars in the first week of school. I think I joined the Turkish Students Club.
Do you have any affiliation?
Only because I went to Turkey once. So I joined the Turkish Students Club. I joined the marching band. I joined the intramural inner tube water polo team. I joined the residence council. I became the male rep for my floor. Like I felt really comfortable when I was in prescribed communities that I was excited about. So
in high school, did you identify as one of the popular kids who was involved in a lot of stuff? Like, were you carrying that over?
Popular is debatable. Right. I was involved in a lot of stuff.
Fair enough.
So band was my thing all the way throughout. And I wouldn't say that the way to climb the popularity ladder is to be like, I play trumpet. I mean, for those listening, maybe that was your method. For me, it didn't really garner the results, but I was always very involved in music. And then later in high school, I was involved in drama and student council. Mm-hmm. And I found that drama and student council inherently put me in front of the school in a variety of ways, not behind a musical instrument. So
you've always kind of been a bit of a performer then, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, I recall seeing a family video from when I was a kid that my parents filmed on one of those massive shoulder holding cameras. And I was 5 years old in the Christmas concert and I was holding two sticks, and my job in the Christmas Carol was to just hit the sticks on the beat. And it basically drowned out every other instrument. I was just hammering the Christmas sticks on this video. So
that should be the title of your memoir someday, Hammering the Christmas Sticks.
Yes. So I already wrote it. Otherwise I would do that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't write it because I haven't thought about that memory in decades. So thanks for this throwback.
Well, hey, that's what we're there for. Yeah. So you make this transition then, trying to carry this forward into college.
Yeah.
But it doesn't quite pan out, it sounds like.
No, mainly because I was not used to the load that was coming at me academically. I found that my skill sets in high school didn't transfer academically to university because the course that I took, which was a social science degree, actually I started in business, still social science, but mainly I recall accounting just demolishing me. And then just the amount of reading. I wasn't used to that. I built myself a snowball in academia that made me just not even want to try to roll it anymore.
Right.
And I found that out the hard way by at the end of first year. I just basically was on academic probation.
Yeah.
And all the leadership opportunities that I had earned, like being involved in orientation week and residence, I actually could not do those because the university said you can't participate in extracurriculars because you have to focus on school. Otherwise you're out of here.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty big blow to a dude who found a lot of excitement, joy, and identity in those communities on campus. And I had too much of a good thing. Like I just couldn't deny that I was so over involved with extracurriculars that, I mean, it sounds cool. Like, oh yeah, I'm really involved. I'm giving back. But no, I'm as a student struggling. It's sort of like people who their career is incredible and their home life is not.
Yeah. So then by the end of first year on academic probation, is that when it starts to turn around, that realization for you?
Yeah. I mean, it had to, because what to me was the most sought after thing, which was being one of those orientation leaders. I was accepted to be one. I thought, oh, sweet. Second year is going to be amazing. And then over the summer, I got a letter basically saying, yep, you got to not do that. So you are no longer in that role. So I wanted to do the work to get back into that place.
Sure.
And also, I just made some changes that I kind of had to fall on my face to know what those changes were. And mainly it was just changing the courses I did, because I did a lot of writing and drama and arts-based things in high school that I exceeded in.
Yeah.
And so I took some writing courses in second year under the advice of an academic counselor. So it was the writing credits that actually helped me graduate.
Right.
Without them, I don't know if I would have graduated.
Yeah. So then you make it through, you do graduate, and you decide to hang around for a bit longer to try to, it sounds like, help other people navigate that period.
So yeah, I stuck around for 3 more years, and my first grown-up job was running residence buildings on campus, and my parents were blown away because they're like, whoa, you on graduation day had a job and a salary and benefits, and we didn't see that coming. Bravo.
So what were the kind of issues that eventually became commonplace for you to be dealing with over that 3 years with students coming in?
I think the main issues were just discipline. That was sort of the common part of the role is, all right, going to the office, you have 10 meetings in a day, and meeting 1 might be because somebody punched a ceiling tile last night and there's a damage fine that they need to pay and they just don't know about it because they were hammered.
Right.
Meeting 2 might be someone who just moved from overseas and they're just trying to get set up with some financial aid. And I'm not even that person, but I can be that connection between residents and that resource.
Right.
Meeting 3 might be because there was a roommate conflict that is because someone loves music because they're a musician and their roommate is not. So personal preferences, because they're in close quarters every day, well, that becomes a big thing. And then the next meeting might be because one of their parents phoned me.
Right.
And their parent is upset because their highly academic child can't focus with their musically gifted roommate. So it was anything. And
a diverse range.
It was basically just this soap opera, but in all forms. It had the highs, the lows. I had a front row seat to humanity in residence.
And that's another strange time in life too, where I think that, the rest of your adult life, you can't just go and knock on somebody's door or call somebody up, unfortunately, and say, I don't know where to go for this financial aid. I don't know how to do this or that. Can you help me find that? Wouldn't that be nice if as adults we could do that? And a lot of people would need that. But in college, you get that, but not everybody really takes advantage of it either. We don't appreciate it in the moment as I think we could.
Mm-hmm. And later in life, I moved into a condo in the city of Toronto, and initially I thought, this is amazing. This is like residence. There's like there's a front desk. There's like a committee. This will be just like that. And it's, from my experience, it was the complete antithesis.
Sure.
Because people walk in, go to their place, shut their door.
Don't know their neighbors. The condo board
that is it.
Different.
I moved into the first apartment building that I moved into in Toronto. I sat down to sign the lease, and I said, "Is there like a social committee or maybe like bingo or something?" And they flat out laughed at me because they thought I was just joking. Which, I was being playful.
Sure,
but I was shocked. I'm like, "Oh wow, you're laughing because that does not exist and never has."
Right.
They're like, why would it? And I think, well, why wouldn't it?
Why wouldn't it? Yeah. Everybody loves bingo.
And so my friend and I, we lived together for 2 years, and we basically had an assignment for ourselves that we are going to replicate as many of the elements to residence life from university in this building now. Ones that are relevant. It's not like, okay, let's all just party all the time. No, but how can we get back that community, that social, that engagement, that support atmosphere that existed on campus, but in this apartment building that has people ages 20 through 90 living on the 25 floors amidst the 400 people in this place.
Right.
And we spent 2 years trying to crack the code on how do we make this no one talks to each other community into a, I don't even want to move out because everyone's got my back.
So how did you succeed? Did you build a community in that place?
Oh, it was our finest hour.
How so?
We went into it with the intention to never pay rent.
Right.
We would only pay tuition because that's what you do in school.
Mm-hmm.
So meaning if you pay rent, usually don't hear people jumping for joy at rent payments because it's kind of like, there goes the money. Oh, well, whatever.
Mm.
Whereas tuition, although it's not necessarily exciting, the thing with tuition is when you pay tuition, well, at least you're going to learn something.
Right.
Like that's sort of I'm learning, I get an education out of it.
Right.
So he and I, his name's Elan. So Elan and I would pay tuition mainly as just like a trick to the mind of if we're living here and if we're paying, because at that stage in life, we were both just living at home with our parents. Yeah. So we didn't need to really live here. We could have saved money. So that $1,000 a month in rent was our tuition, which meant like, what have we learned living here this month? And so we made a curriculum for ourselves and we named our home so that this whole thing was so intentional. And so we called our home Studio 360, mainly because studios sound cool. I mean, cool stuff happens in studios. And 360, well, it's like one rotation.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're going to turn things around. And we are both musicians. So then we made a slogan for Studio 360, which was related to music and related to personal development. And we called it Studio 360, laying down the tracks. Like, okay. And then the curriculum was 4 modules. So we drew a little train and made carts. And each cart was like a module. So one cart was health. We figured, I hear that's a good focal point, health. Second was business. So because we were both self-employed, we didn't have a boss, still don't. But I find as someone who runs their own business, one of the most helpful things to have is a boss, whether it's a coach, accountability, whatever. Mm-hmm. So he and I were essentially each other's accountability partners and business coach. So business was like coaching each other. Third category was community, because we figured, well, if we're living in a building with all these people, how do we connect them and get connected to them? Mm-hmm. Final category was music. We had played less music since graduating, and we were in a band in university. So we figured if we live together, we'll just play way more music like we did in university when we lived 3 doors apart. And we would literally yell out the door being like, hey, want to jam? And it was one of the highlights of school. So for 2 years, every Tuesday morning, we would sit at our couch and do coaching, which was essentially we'd go through each of the carts and rate them out of 4. Out of 4, how do we do on health, business, community, and music? 4 being we rocked it and we did something and learned something. 1 being, we're not really focused on that. Let's step it up. And it was basically the most extreme accountability machine that I have ever built with him. And it all spun from him essentially saying like, let's stop living with our parents. Yeah. And me being reluctant because I didn't really need to spend that money. And Elan geniusly twisting my arm by saying, okay, it's not rent. Consider it like $1,000 a month for personal one-to-one coaching. Yeah. It's like, okay, I like that stuff. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, and this is, it sounds like what your whole business is based around now too, right? This is what you do with people all the time.
Yeah. So a lot of the work that I'm up to now is building these communities of people doing regular things on their own. And then my role is to make them do that alone together. So an example of something that I do is because a lot of people who run their own business, they might get distracted. They might lose focus. Their self-talk might spin into, I'm not going to be able to do this, instead of, I can totally do this. So because everyone's always working on a project, but maybe they don't finish it because they get distracted and they work alone, one of my communities is called Project Finished. And all it is a 1-month accountability group where we meet up online every morning and we do work for 2 hours from 5 to 7 a.m. on Zoom. So it's like you and I are literally on Zoom. We log in at 5 a.m. because that in itself is 90% of it. Like people getting out of bed at a time they otherwise wouldn't, but they paid for it and said they'd show up, so they're there. And we literally check in with each other on Zoom saying, all right, Mark, what are you working on this morning? All right, Blake, what are you working on this morning? Awesome. And it's all like a needle moving activity under a big project. Maybe for you, it's a book, it's your podcast, it's honing a speech, building a website. So we say what we're going to do. We mute the microphone. We stay on camera. So there's a presence.
Yeah.
We can see each other working. And then at the end, we say what we did. And that is it.
That's it. Yeah.
Wake up. What are you going to do? Do it. What did you do? Okay, see you tomorrow. And I find that the most powerful part of that community, and frankly, any of these communities we're talking about, is the see you tomorrow.
Right.
I feel like it's when people are lacking see you tomorrow relationships that you lose focus, maybe get just in these phases of questioning if you will succeed. So yeah, I love building these worlds where accountability is not this like, hey, did you do your work?
Yeah.
But it's these cool, energizing communities that you know people can count on you and you can count on them to just do the thing you know you got to do anyway, but why not do it with others who are also up to similar things?
Yeah, and to have, I think, that structure, that process. Writers, super successful writers say this all the time, that your process will save you on days where you don't want to do anything, where you don't want to write, you don't want to wake up at 5 o'clock, you don't want to keep going. Stick to your process, do your times, sit down at your desk at the same time, pull out your pencil or your computer at the same time. And it doesn't matter if you don't write anything, but then the next day, stick to your process and it'll come back again, right? Because you have that structure and then you can play within that structure.
Yeah.
Which is what you do on stage all the time. So you still didn't tell me about the guitar. You still didn't talk about where the guitar comes in.
I was saying the guitar came from the fact that was the way I basically made friends.
Yeah, but so how? You just wander up to people and play guitar?
Well... yes.
I cracked that nut.
Yeah.
See, How would people react to that? You just wander up to this stranger and play guitar to them.
See, it's funny. The subtleties are where the power lies, because I knew that on the first day of university, there's hundreds of new people, and I'm social. I'm pretty extroverted.
Clearly, yeah.
But I'm not one of these extreme extroverts who can like be thrown into a room and just befriend everyone.
Right.
And so literally as a security blanket, I got my guitar and walked the hall of residence on the first night. And this is the main story I tell in almost all my speeches. And people think that I played guitar. I just walked with a guitar.
Okay, why?
Because that's all you need.
Right.
It's like if you're in an airport and you see someone with a baby. For some reason, I find that adults are more likely to connect with the baby than the adult. Even if it's a glance, a smile, or asking that adult about their baby. Like, oh, how old?
Right.
Oh, how are they doing traveling? Like, it's a conversation starter and it's safe because there's obvious things to talk about.
That's why people talk about the weather and traffic. And
the weather, traffic, dogs. My gosh, you go to a dog park, it's like LinkedIn because people are just like, oh, what's your dog's name?
Yeah.
There's these safe entrances into relationship, like weather, like sports, both which make me cringe when are the focus of the conversation.
Yes.
Though walking around a hallway in a brand new community, holding a guitar, I knew everyone here is new. Everyone here is looking to make friends. Everyone here is attempting to do something that sparks a connection. And that was my version of it. And so I literally walked the hall until someone called me in. And it worked beautifully. The first night of university, I was walking the hallways with a guitar. I was not even playing it. And I passed this room where people were partying and they're blaring music. I'm walking by and in my mind, I'm literally thinking like, they've all got friends. Or at least It looks like they do. I don't have friends yet. I knew a couple people at the university, but I wasn't with them at that moment. So I keep walking, and then they turn down the music, and I hear someone yell like, "The guy had a guitar!" And like, that's my cue. All I need to do is walk back.
Yeah.
I don't need to perform. I just need to respond to that call.
Right.
So I literally return to the entrance of the room. I'm holding a guitar. I need to say nothing. It's like if, just as an extreme example, if you go to some networking event and there's 100 people there and there's opportunities in the room to maybe connect with someone, learn something in your career, meet a new friend. Well, everybody's there with those main moves of like, well, what do you do? And, oh, traffic. Do you use the code check? And if you were to be bold enough to wear a banana costume,
right,
you don't even need to speak.
You're just the guy standing silently.
Stand alone
in a banana costume.
And someone is going to be like, what's with the banana costume?
That's true.
And you're in.
And that person might be wearing a uniform.
Right.
Asking you to leave.
And then think about the aftermath.
Right.
Sometimes people question, am I memorable?
Right.
Well, that's a big question because maybe it's tough to be memorable. So I always look for reasons and ways to automate being memorable. I know that if I'm a dude wearing a banana costume at a networking event with a bunch of adults, after the event, if there's someone that I wanted to connect with but didn't, well, the world we live in, you hop online, you find them, you go on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever, send them a message. Hey, I was the guy in the banana costume. And even if they didn't know me or meet me or see me, well, that's an opener. Yeah. I was at that event last night. We didn't have a chance to connect. My name is Blake. I was the guy standing in the banana costume. Wondering if you had a chance to maybe hop on a phone call or have a meeting. I don't have a reason why in this specific moment, but me walking around a residence with a guitar was that identical goal. Is all I need to do is be the guy with the guitar, be the guy in the banana costume, be the person wearing the tutu, and I'm memorable, and I'm connected to people who understand what's going on.
Yeah. And most of the time it seems like people do the opposite though. They want to fade into the background. They don't want to stand out, and they think that's safer. Yeah. Sounds like you're saying the opposite though is safer, because then you get connected to people.
It's safer with a heavy disclaimer of it's highly risky up front.
Right.
Like the assumed entrance is, hey, everybody, if you're cool with being judged, being thought of as weird, getting some eye rolls, maybe turning some people off, I've got the greatest way for you to connect with new people.
Yeah, yeah.
But all of these are just the prereqs that I find we slowly go through as humans.
Right.
We figure out after a few interactions, oh, we're actually not really cut from a cloth that makes this a productive relationship.
Right.
Whether it be friends, couples, whatever. But whoever comes up to me standing in a banana costume at a networking event, and if it's a positive interaction, oh my gosh, we're on step 10 now in the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, I find, so I have social anxiety disorder, but I also do a lot of stuff on stages and in front of cameras and stuff like that. And I find one of the most effective ways to give a better performance, but what I mean by that is give more of my true self rather than this tight, guarded person, is to get up there and just do something silly, embarrass myself right up front, because let's get that out of the way, because then it unlocks all this other great stuff where you feel like you can really be yourself.
Yes.
Right? And this is it here too. It's high risk up front, sure, but just deal with that, embarrass yourself, get that out of the way, so that way you're not ruminating and thinking about it the whole time.
Yeah.
That gets in the way.
And I always like to play the game of what's everybody doing, what's everybody thinking, and then where are those opportunities to deviate?
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a genius to figure this out, but let's take a networking event in a business capacity. Okay, everyone has a name tag on. Everyone may be worrying they might not remember someone's name. Maybe they can't even read their name tag. Maybe they feel like it's inappropriate to look at their name tag based on where it's located on their body. Okay, if that's going through probably a lot of people's minds at this interaction and sort of environment. Well, why not go to an art shop, buy a whiteboard that's like the size of an 8x10 photo frame, tie a string on it, write, "Hi, I'm Blake," and walk around this thing.
Yeah.
I've not done that before.
Good idea, though. Make it obvious.
Though I would be 100% willing, because here's what I know. I know that when I do that, some people will write me off immediately.
Sure.
Who's the guy with the whiteboard? I'm going to go talk to someone who's normal. Great. It's like perfect. That's just clutter in a relationship. We don't need to connect anyway. But then once I do connect with someone, the first thing we talk about is pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if I don't want to talk about the weather or sports, what do I want to talk about? I like to talk about creativity, innovation, relationships. We're probably going to talk about the whiteboard.
Right.
Why are you wearing a whiteboard?
Yeah.
Why are you walking around with a guitar? And I know that I'm now having a 1% conversation that you've likely not had tonight or ever. And my name is memorable because it's literally plastered across the whiteboard. And then in the world that we live in now with phones and cameras everywhere, we take a selfie of like, "Great to meet you. Hey, what's your contact? Let's just take a picture. Then we can remember this moment." And then the name is in the photo, the memory is in the photo, and then you can then send that to the person at a later date.
Yeah.
And we've anchored so deep so soon, but there was a lot of risk up front.
High reward.
Because you need to be willing to show up and instantly have people recognize that's different.
Yeah.
And that's really scary because you can't fit in and stand out at the same time. So like you have to pick one.
I like what you said too, though, about the people who just write you off up front, who, walk away. They don't want to introduce themselves. They don't want you to talk to them because they think you're that weird guy with the whiteboard or whatever. But then you also said, that's fine. Those probably aren't the people that you want to be interacting with anyway.
Yeah.
Right? That you're already doing. That's the hard part. You're taking the guesswork out of it.
Right.
Because they're probably not your type of person.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Not everybody has to be your type of person. You don't have to get along with everybody.
For sure. I think about even dating. Like I never experienced online dating, and my now wife and we'd been together for like a decade almost when we got married. But I look at online dating and I think, how willing are people to stand out in that environment? Okay, if everyone's first learning about someone online in a dating app, well, what is the majority of people doing? They're looking all their best. They're saying like these amazing accolades about themselves. Who would be willing to literally say the things that will reject 99% of people at the moment they see their profile?
Yeah.
But then that 1%, you know that the quality of that person who says, "I would like to connect," really?
Yeah.
Because
even though I told you I got this weird thing on my face and I
literally just did the boldest thing I know I could do to push away people that I know won't really be productive for them or me.
Right.
But again, are you willing to be considered different, weird, unlike anyone else, and bold, perhaps ballsy in this ecosystem? And I love looking for opportunities to be that person. I think recently I realized, okay, it is so powerful. And for me, it can also be a gigantic crutch. And so I've recently been playing with, okay, let's use none of those things because I'm really good at that. I can go in and I can be the purple cow anywhere I want. For me, it's how do I just be a regular person,
so-called normal person,
in a regular interaction and use words and conversation and questions to get to that same place that one of those bold gestures can do quickly.
How's that working out for you so far? That was a Dr. Phil question. Sorry.
Yeah.
How's that working for you?
It's working well.
Yeah.
I just find it's not as energizing.
Sure.
I find that for whatever reason, like maybe it's my blessing and my curse, but I love being memorable. because I love having memorable people in my life. Like I just really enjoy that. I love that you and I are even here having this conversation right now, because the first time we were really together was through a mutual friend, Jordan, and he creates memorable experiences for his friends. And so anytime we've hung out, it's been memorable. It was these deep dive dinners, or we're like reviewing some business opportunity to just impact so many people. And that is kind of in the same realm of, well, how can we cut through weather and sports as quick as possible?
Yeah, and get to the meat. How do you feel? Or I don't know how to.
This
say
isn't
this,
a sports podcast, is it?
No, God, I hope not. I'm probably not the right host if it is. But the idea of not being noticed or being forgotten, how do you respond to that? Is that a fear of yours?
It might be. First time I've been asked that, so let me go into that place.
Well, it's just, I don't want to psychoanalyze you here, but you invest, and you're so you seem like such a type A motivated person, and I think to myself, what is there? I don't know. Maybe I'm just suspicious by nature. Is that trying to compensate for something else, for a fear?
I think it's. I'll share this, which may answer that. And back to being in Turkey, my deep roots.
From your one visit to Turkey.
When I was backpacking in Turkey, I was there with my siblings. It was a really cool experience, because our parents even said, like, look, two of you are going backpacking this summer. You should all go. I was the third one who was on the fence. And like, you're never again probably going to have this opportunity. None of you have kids. You're all talking to each other. Do it. So we traveled Turkey as siblings every day for a month. But then for a week of that month, there was this like sailboat little adventure that I saw posters for all around the little village we were in. And I really wanted to go on it. But my siblings didn't want to. Like, we're not really feeling it. So I had the choice to make of, do I want to go on it solo or to skip it? And I had never done anything alone at that point in my life. And so I said, yeah, I'd like to go. It was this week-long little sailboat thing with about 20 people on a boat, and you get to cruise through the islands. It was really, really wicked. So I separate from my siblings. I go find the boat. And when I get to the boat, it was a day after it had started. So everyone was already on the trip. I was the new guy to the boat. So I knew nobody. When I arrived on the boat, everyone was in town grocery shopping. So I get to this boat. There's only the sailor, the captain, and me. And he doesn't speak English, but he knows I'm coming. So I'm sitting on this boat. And as I'm sitting on this boat, I can feel the nervousness and the anxiety just like coming up to the heat in my head. And I had not felt that before. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in a country I've never been in. My siblings, I can't reach them right now. We didn't have cell phones.
Right.
It was basically like, cool, we'll see you in 5 days in this village.
Good luck.
Great. Yeah. And I was sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know anyone on this boat.
Right.
I won't see my siblings for 5 days. I've never done this before. And I panicked, and I recall leaving the boat to go and try and find a phone, to try and see if my siblings were still at the same hostel, to try and call them to be like, yo, this trip was a stupid idea. Like, sound all tough. Like, oh, the boat was dumb. Let's just meet back up. I left the boat to go do that. I couldn't find a phone. And then I sort of talked myself back into like, what are you doing? Go back to the boat. Okay, let's just deal with this. All the passengers return a few minutes later. There's about 15, 16 people. And again, back to that guitar story, back to that like banana example. I was different immediately, because to everyone, it's like, who are you? So I had an opportunity to make myself known.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do anything epic other than I greeted everyone who got on the boat. So everyone who got back on the boat from grocery shopping, I said, "Hi, I'm Blake. I'm new to the boat. Hi, I'm Blake. I'm new to the boat. Hi, I'm Blake. I'm new to the boat." And then got on the boat, left. All right, it's official. Not seeing my family for a week. And I was still nervous and still reluctant, but everybody knew I'm Blake. I'm new to the boat.
You weren't alone anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, by the end of it, it was one of the best experiences I've had in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what I would have thought if I didn't go.
Right.
Maybe I would have then had a bad rest of the trip because I'd be like, "Oh, why didn't I do it?" And I want to do it. So all of this to come back to your question of, I do know there's some kind of fear at work around maybe being, I don't know if it's being forgotten or not memorable. I think it's being unknown and invisible. Because I think forgotten or not being memorable is we've had an interaction already and now we'll see what the results show. But invisible and unknown, I think, is prior to the interaction. It's the voice that comes up in my mind of, okay, I'm going into a experience. I'm currently a nobody. What are the odds of me going from nobody to somebody? And in what manner? In how much time? So for sure, there's some fear or some compensation at work of, all right, I'm currently unknown and invisible. What is the most direct, meaningful, and sincere way of changing that?
Yeah.
And if on the other side they think I'm memorable, cool. If on the other side they don't remember who the heck I am, whatever. I just did my controllable part in, "Hi,
Yeah.
nice to meet you."
Yeah. If you feel invisible, make yourself visible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All thrown back to the Turkish Student Society.
All about the Turkish.
I don't want to throw in sponsors, but
Yeah.
sometimes it just happens.
Yeah. This is you do something else, actually. I just wanted to squeeze this in too, that I really liked. I don't know if you still do it or not, but you call people on stage.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that? What's that about?
Yeah, I love this. When I started presenting, I've always loved seeing people give speeches, and being an audience member was one of my favorite things. It still is. And what I love most is when I can tell that there's something happening on stage that is spontaneous and in the moment. And because I know that in the world of speaking, which you know incredibly well, Mark, it's you kind of get your shtick and you rock it and you get good at it and you don't change it much necessarily.
Right.
So I knew that was the track I was on. So I built basically 25% of every speech was freestyle in the form of me phoning someone live on stage, and I didn't know who I was about to call. So I knew that regardless of what I was talking about and who I was talking to, I built in guaranteed spontaneity and energy and unpredictability for myself and the audience. And I did it by getting people thinking about prank phone calls, which is just this, stupid thing. You call someone, you make a fake accent, or you hang up on them, or you just kind of mess up their day, but you get a kick out of it.
Right.
The problem is that it's at that person's expense. They need to sort of be brought down a few notches for you and your friends to think, well, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So instead of prank calls, I shifted it into this idea of thank calls. And it's the exact same concept and template, but instead of calling someone to prank them, you call them and thank them. And I can't determine who I'm calling. That's up for the audience to do. Because I used to get the audience to shout out ideas, and I'd always end up calling my mom or like my one friend who I tell a story about, or my girlfriend, now wife. They'd all get these calls. And initially it was super special. Then it became super predictable.
Right.
So now what I do when I present, whether it's to companies or groups of students, I just hold up the phone and I scroll through the contacts, and I only stop scrolling when the audience tells me to stop. So it's like a magic trick. It's like, pick a card. So I'm literally like, pick a contact, scroll, stop. Okay, stop. I look at my phone. I'm like, oh, it landed on Mark.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Mark since I saw him at that dinner a couple years ago with our mutual friend, Jordan. So I'm now on stage for everyone to see, going through my own process of who is this relationship?
Right.
How do I know them? And now my job is to live on stage, on speakerphone, call them and thank them for something.
Yeah.
And as I'm in that moment, like I can feel physically my body's like doing the butterflies feeling, that anticipation. The audience is sort of like, woo, we're actually doing this. Oh my gosh. And I would then call the contact, in this case, you, put it on speaker. And every time I do this, I know it because I've done it over 1,000 times now. I sort of have the science. When the first ring sounds, the audience members, they like cover their face in that like, oh my God, we're doing it. Yeah. Sometimes by the second ring, they even like cover their face with their shirt, just like almost hiding in a surprise party form. Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And then when the person picks up, people like manage each other's behavior. You're like, shh, and then they lean forward. And all I'm doing is phoning someone.
Right.
And they're literally like, nobody make a move. So then you would pick up, or it would go to voicemail, and then I need to thank you. Let's say you actually pick up in this moment. I'm like, hey, Mark, it's Blake. And then quick context. It's Blake. You and I both know Jordan. We met at a dinner like 2 years back. Do you have like 30 seconds? Quick question, and you're on my mind. Yeah, sure. Awesome. So now I've got 30 seconds of airtime with you and I've contextualized it enough. And then I will basically say something along the lines of, oh yeah, I was just scrolling through my phone, saw your name, realized, wow, I haven't thought of that guy in a while. And you just popped into my mind. Okay, now we're in. Now I need to figure out why I appreciate this person. And then what I do in real time is I love using the framework of without you, which is, I find, an amazing way to begin appreciating someone, because then you quickly figure out what would not be present in my life had I not met you. So back to the phone call. There's like 1,000 people watching, sweating. It's nerve-wracking. You're on speakerphone into the mic. You don't know it. You just think it's one-to-one, which it is, but you don't know there's an audience.
Yeah.
And then I literally real time think. And so real time, I'm going to do this right now. And so it's like, Mark, what's up? It's Blake. Blah, blah, blah. We already did the preamble. So just want to say this quickly. I want to say thanks. Without you, I would not know that this podcast exists. More importantly, I would not have had a deep conversation about mental health, about wellness, about marriage, about business, about speaking, far more than just the practical elements of all those things, but literally the impact on the self and success in general. And we now have this mutual connection through an amazing human being known as Jordan. And I look forward to more of these experiences, these hangouts, these conversations. So I figured I'd just tell you that instead of just think that to myself. And just as a way to give you a little high five over the phone, in like a minute, you're going to hear 800 people scream the words, Mark, you are my sunshine. And then on the count of 3, I like throw my hands up in the air. 800 people say whatever I tell them to say. On your end, you're just hearing a bunch of static and noise, but you know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then I tell the crowd to be quiet. I like gesture to bring down the noise. And then we just wait. And it's just silent and tense and weird. And the phone is at the mic. And then we just see how you respond. And we don't know if you're at work, if you're at home, maybe you're driving, you might be grocery shopping and you were in the middle of Googling whether something has gluten or not. And now your phone rings. It's like, who's this? And the intersection that we have just made with that person is major. And like the banana costume, the guitar, I guarantee they have not received that call that day. Yeah. Perhaps they've never, ever received that kind of call in that way. I do this every speech.
So how do they usually respond?
Oh my gosh. It's It's everything.
Yeah.
Like I remember I called my grandfather once while he was alive, and I just poured my heart out saying all these things about my grandfather. And then we cheer for him, and then we stop, wait. Everyone's sort of leaning forward in their seat. And he's like, okay, thank you, bye. Like, just this direct, I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are crying.
Yeah.
Sometimes people will say a response, and like we'll get into this two-way thank you dialogue. Sometimes they'll just laugh, or sometimes people will be like, am I on stage right now? I'm like, yeah. Hey, people, can you hear me? And then like there'll be cheers, and then we just have this audience to phone interaction. So I love how unpredictable and real it has to be in order to even take place, because in professional speaking, as you know, like you could literally go up there, hit a switch, be amazing, and then you just go home.
Yeah.
Or you can do all those things and bake in one ingredient that's like, I have no idea how this one will go.
Yeah.
So we're just going to put it for everyone to see. And I find that people are a bigger fan of the experience because of it, because it was for them and no one else.
I love that. And I love how most people run from unpredictability, from uncertainty, but you run toward it. You not only embrace it, you bake it in. It seems like such an important part of what you do. And I think that people have a lot to learn from that kind of practice. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for sharing that with me, for coming on the show, for sharing so much of yourself, your authentic self in that way. So thank you, Blake.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, that's my conversation with Blake Fly. Isn't he fun? Right? So go check out his website, blakefly.com, to read more about him and look at his writing, his videos, and if you can make it to one of his live events, you definitely won't regret it. Let me know what you thought about today's episode. On social media, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Mark Hennick, at MarkHenick. Website is markhennick.com/so-called-normal, where you can read more about the show. You can read more about me, what I do, the forthcoming book, if it ever comes out. I'm sure it will eventually, but the podcast, of course, and my public speaking work as well. Blake and I really have a lot in common in terms of our work on the speaking circuit. If you want to check out a free trial of psychotherapy, safe, effective, from the comfort of your own home in your underwear, if you want to, psychotherapy, go check it out. You never know until you try, right? If you don't like it, fine, then you don't have to keep doing it, because the free trial, by nature of being a free trial, is free. So go to betterhelp.com/Mark, enter the promo code Mark, and you can get that free trial of safe, effective, at-home psychotherapy. What haven't I mentioned yet? Oh, I haven't told you to go to Apple Podcasts. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, if you have an iPhone, or I don't know if there's any other way to access Apple Podcasts other than through an iPhone, maybe there is, but whatever. Go on there, leave us a rating, subscribe to the show, leave a little comment at the bottom, and share it with all your friends. Tag me on social media if you like, and I'm happy to chat about anything that you found interesting on here. If you don't have an iPhone or Apple Podcasts, good news, we're on everything else too. So you can go to Google Podcasts, you can go to Libsyn, or Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, wherever you get your podcasts, we're on there. Look us up, So-Called Normal, and listen to some of the past episodes and lots of the future ones that we have coming for you as well. That's it for me. I'm Mark Hennick, and this has been So-Called Normal.